298 just wrapped up, like it just ended. They didn't even start the press conference or anything yet. But wow. It's the end of an era. I don't think, I don't know. I don't think Volk will ever hold the strap again. In fact, I highly doubt if he even gets a immediate rematch. I mean, that knockout was absolutely devastating. Those follow-up shots were completely unnecessary. Topuria got inside, landed that big right hand, and it was lights out. I mean, Volk went to the land of wind and ghosts. He was done. Man, I made a breakdown video like 2 weeks ago where I broke the fight down and I gave it like a 51-49% chance for Topuria because, you know, I had really big question marks regarding Volkanovski's ability to take a shot after that head kick knockout. Now, that certainly played into it somewhat. I don't know how much, but wow. Oh, man. That was absolutely insane. Now, after I made that breakdown video, I went back and I said in like some like live feeds and stuff I did after, I ended up, I'm like, you know what? I'm not giving Volkanovski enough respect. He's been the featherweight champ for so long, you know, like he's faced the who's who. Really, all Topuria had on his resume, I mean, he was undefeated, but his biggest win was Josh Emmett, you know, compared to the guys that Volk fought. So I'm like, I can't give somebody who, I mean, he handedly beat Josh, but he didn't even put him away, you know, and he landed some big shots on him. So I'm like, I don't know. Volk's a whole nother animal. We haven't seen Topuria face any adversity, and we really still haven't. But, wow. I mean, you know what's going to happen, you know? No one's the champ forever, but when it does happen, when an era comes to an end, it's always so shocking, especially for it to happen like that, which I'm glad. I'm not glad Volk got knocked out, but I'm glad that it ended emphatically. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a close fight back and forth and, you know, there's all this like, yeah, well, I don't know. Round 2 was really close, but I gave Volk 3. No, it was, he landed an absolute hammer, and that was it. Everybody knew what it was going to be. Volk was going to be fighting behind his jab on the outside at the end of his reach, and Topuria needed to get inside and land bombs. And that is exactly what happened. I mean, if there's not a single breakdown video on all of YouTube that doesn't have that exact scenario. Volk fighting from the outside, peppering with shots, you know, it just, Volk was going to kill him with 1,000 paper cuts, just over and over. And Topuria was starting to wear those jabs. I was taking notes on the fight as it was happening, and I was literally just about to write down that, you know, Volk is starting, the game plan's coming together for him. He's working behind his jab. Topuria is starting to wear it, and boom, the fight ended. Topuria rushed in, landed a devastating right hand, and just dropped Volk like a sack of potatoes. It was, wow. I mean, let me know what you guys think, though. I don't know. I don't even know if Topuria does, or Volkanovski really deserves the rematch at this point. Paku, what is up? The third round is where Volk would have started to take over. He just needed to survive about 5 more minutes. I can't argue with you there. Like I said, I was just literally taking notes on the fights, and I was just about to write down that it's turning into a Volkanovski fight. You know, every time Ilya tries to get in to land one of his shots, he's getting hit with that jab. He was eating it over and over and over, and he was starting to wear it, you know. And you could see Volk was starting to feel himself. Like, he was like, all right, you know, I felt some of his shots, and, you know, I'm not going down just yet. And sure enough, man, whew. Steel C, what's up, bro? First time I think I've seen you in this chat. Says, I don't understand how the MMA community is writing Volk off because he got knocked out. It happens. Everybody acting like Volk is washed up. It's crazy. I don't know if anyone's acting like he's washed up. It's just I'm not sure what you mean by that. Do you mean because people are saying that like he's not going to get a rematch? I think the reason, in my opinion, right now, you know, 3 minutes after the fight ended, if you ask me, does Volkanovski deserve a rematch? I mean, he got knocked out emphatically. Like, there's no doubt about it. If there is a rematch with Topuria, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But, you know, at the same time, if there's not, if they have Topuria fight Yair, or I don't know, that'd be tough because Volk beat Yair's ass so bad. We'd have to see. I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, whenever anybody wins, it's, you know, everyone's going to be, oh, I knew it. I called it. Volk's washed. He never stood a chance. You know, this is, if you thought Volkanovski was even remotely, you know, alive in this fight, you're crazy. Everyone's an expert after the fact, you know. I mean, Volkanovski isn't washed, but the fact of the matter is he's on the wrong side of 35, and he fights at featherweight, you know. I mean, I think I've talked about this before, where there's certain moments in a fighter's career, certain fights they have where they leave a piece of themselves in the octagon. You know, and a great example of that is like Dominic Reyes against John Jones. He went out there, in most people's opinion, did enough to win the fight. Obviously, didn't get the call, but he was never the same again. And I think, you know, there's a very good chance that second Islam fight was that for Volk. Now, another big talking point going into this is Volk rushing into this too soon? Is he just coming into this, you know, taking this fight too quick after that, you know, devastating head kick knockout, and he's just going to run right into another punch, or another knockout, I should say. And, you know, hindsight now, that looks like that's the case, you know. But like Paku said earlier, if he would have been able to stay away from that punch for another 5 minutes, you know, his damage could have added up, and you don't know. But right now we have ourselves a brand new champion, and the dude is, well, for one, he's undefeated, and he just did that to Alexander Volkanovski. I don't know who's going to beat Topuria now. You know, whatever his next fight is, sign me up, because the dude is an absolute animal. I mean, to have that kind of power at 145, you do not see, I mean, throughout history, you don't see many people just, you know, laying people flat out like that when they, you know, weigh 145 pounds, at least on the night of weigh-ins, you know. I agree. I think Volk should have waited too. Like I said earlier, I did a breakdown video on this fight like 2 weeks ago, and that was my exact opinion that it seemed like after that loss to Islam, Volk was very emotional, obviously, and I think he just, wanted to get back in there, get another fight under his belt, and prove that he's still the champ. But Topuria, he's not Yair. He's not Josh Emmett. I mean, hell, he's not even Max Holloway. He was somebody that clearly Volk needed to prepare for a little more, But then again, I don't know if there's anything Volk could have did. Maybe he could have waited a whole year, and it would have been the same result, Maybe at this point, post-Islam knockout, Volk just doesn't have the chin for Topuria's power. That very well could be the case too. I mean, it very well could be the case they put on some huge fight in Spain, and Volkanovski is getting the rematch, and Topuria does the exact same thing. Khabib is a bum, is the guy's name. What's up, bro? I don't think I've ever seen you in the chat before either. If you like this shit, hit the like, hit the subscribe. I'm just starting out, so I take all the support I can get. He beat Pick'em in picks tonight. Awesome, dude. Good for you. Pick'em is one sharp guy. He knows his shit, so you must have been having a good night. Steel C said, nobody's beating Topuria at featherweight. He will be the next long-running champ. He very well may be. I mean, somebody is going to beat him eventually. Everybody's human. But I've been saying for a while now that I think 2024 is going to be, the year of the changing of the guard. I mean, especially now that just happened to Volk. I mean, such an emphatic loss, too. But guys like Izzy, we've seen Robert Whittaker had a big win tonight in an absolute war. That's another, oh man. I'm going to have a whole post-fight breakdown video that I'm going to drop tomorrow. I'm going to go through every fight and break it down and talk about every little detail of every little fight. But tonight I just wanted to come on here right after the fights and chat it up with you guys. We'll talk about whatever you want. I think most people are going to want to talk about Volkanovski getting sent to the Shadow Realm by Ilia Topuria. But, man, it certainly appears that Topuria, I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of anybody that's going to eat too many of those right hands and be conscious. Paku says, I haven't drank for like 6 months. I feel like pouring a glass of whiskey and drowning my sorrows. I feel you, bro. We've talked about this before. I try so hard not to become a fan of fighters because I'm such a fan of the sport. Max Holloway is the last guy that I'm ever going to be like a fanboy of. And it hurts so bad, especially I've since become a fan of Volk, but because he was the person to take the strap from my boy Max, initially I fucking hated his guts, especially because I think Max beat him. But yeah, it does suck. It does suck when you get emotionally attached. And I know he's your countryman, like that's your boy. So I wouldn't blame you one bit if you poured yourself a glass of whatever and ease the pain a little bit. I got some diet fucking Pepsi. I'm just trying to stay awake. It's like, I don't even know what time it is. 1:30 in the morning here. Sleuth, what up, bro? All right. Dave Vega, another new guy. Hey, man. I think it's your first time in the chat. For everybody who is new here, if you'd hit the like, subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. I'm just starting out in this YouTube shit, so I can use all the support I can get. How's Ilya takedown defense? Could Volk have wrestled him down inside instead of playing Ilya's game of striking? But that's Volk's game too. I mean, Volk is arguably the greatest striker ever at featherweight. You know, that's his game. If Volk can't beat you striking, then Volk can't beat you. You know, yes, he's probably a better wrestler than Topuria. Topuria certainly, he's a very well-rounded mixed martial artist. You know, I mean, he can grapple and scramble and fight off the cage. You know, I shouldn't say as well as anyone, but he can do that just fine. He's primarily a striker, but so is Volk. And Volk has held the strap for so long, you know, beating Max Holloway on the feet, beating everyone on the feet. That's his game. So, if I had to guess, I would say the game plan was to do exactly what Volk was doing, other than letting Topuria get inside when he shouldn't have and land that big right hand. He was keeping him at the end of the jab. I think maybe later in rounds 3 and 4, mixing in some takedowns just to mix it up for Topuria and overwhelm him with MMA probably would have been the game plan. But to just beat Topuria with grappling, I think you need to be like a next level grappler, you know, like a Islam Khabib type grappler to start with, you know. If that's all you have, if that's your game plan, I think he's going to sprawl and knock your ass out like he knocked out Volk. And Topuria likes fighting on the inside. So if you're trying to press him up against the cage to work your takedowns, man, you better be careful, because he's got some fucking hammers and he's going to land them. Slew says, I knew Topuria could do it. Volk always puts his hands down circling out of exchanges. Got exposed by Islam for it and by Ilya pressing him against the cage with his guard down. He does drop his hands a lot. And like they were saying on the commentary, he was backing straight out of the exchanges with his head right up in the air. I was getting very worried for him coming out of those exchanges like that. But Topuria did exactly what everyone has said he needed to do. He pressed Volk up against the cage. In fact, I played out this exact scenario in a breakdown video. He pressed Volkanovski up against the cage to get inside the range of his jab, and he landed his right hand. Right now, Topuria is at a point in his career where I don't think there's anyone in that division that can withstand a clean right hand from him. I mean, he didn't put away Josh Emmett, but that dude is like half fucking zombie. So, you know, he certainly had him. It wasn't even close by the end of the fight. But Josh Emmett took some absolute bombs in that fight. And I don't think anyone can withstand that right now. There's a very good chance that Topuria's the champ for a long time. Personally, I don't think Volk has what it takes to beat him. I think Volk has met his kryptonite. He left a piece of himself in that cage with the Islam that he's never going to get back. His best bet right now would be take as much time off as possible. If he gets lucky, the UFC will give him a rematch. Maybe they'll put together some big event in Spain, propping Topuria up as the new champ, knowing Volk is probably going to lose again, and then give him the rematch. I mean, he's been such a good champ for so long. You know, he doesn't stir up any controversy. He took that fight against Islam on short notice. The UFC kind of owes him, but then again, they don't give a shit about any of their fighters, really. Like, they're not going to go out of their way to do any favors. But I do think that a rematch between, a rematch with Volkanovski in Spain, I don't think Volk wins that fight. I think he's a very big underdog on the cards, but I could see the UFC doing something like that. Other than Topuria, though, I mean, who do we have as big-name Spanish fighters? But they're going to want to build their market, you know, just make it like a European thing, I guess. All right, Andrew. Sorry, I'm not even going to try to say your last name. Andrew B. What's up, buddy? Yeah, I got some fucking cherry Pepsi Zero Sugar. It's fucking keeping me going right now. Andrew B said, I hit the like for you. I appreciate it, dude. Hit that subscribe too, man. Sleuth said, Ilya is so good in the pocket. I mean, who's better? Who's better than Ilya Topuria right now at fighting inside in the pocket? I can't think of anyone off the top of my head. And to land with that fucking, that much power at 145, like, you know, it's one thing to knock a guy out with a roundhouse kick or something like that, but just a single right hand to just put his lights out, like, man. I'm excited for the rest of this year. You know, we got guys like Bo Nickel on the rise. Who knows what's going to happen at 185? I don't think Izzy's coming back to really, you know, reign again as the champ. I think guys like Izzy and Volk, they've had this nice, long run, and I think their time has come. Eugene Behrman needs to find himself, a new stable. And Whitaker won, too. Whitaker, it was like the Whitaker of old, you know? Obviously, he's another guy who I think is on the downslope. You know, it's just age. It's not that, you know, I'm not trying to talk shit on these guys, obviously. It's just Father Time. Father Time's undefeated. You know, Volkanovski was going in there against an absolute savage, a young and hungry, up-and-coming, undefeated fighter, and Father Time. Like, he had to beat both those dudes. And Robert Whitaker's fighting the same battle. But tonight, he did it. I mean, it was an absolute war. I can't wait to watch that fight back between him and Costa. It was great. Whitaker's wearing it on his face, but it just seemed like his shots were hurting Costa more than Costa was hurting him. And it was everything we wanted that fight to be. Watching it, I was thinking, man, I wish this was 5 rounds. I wish this was fucking 5 rounds. What a great fight. So many good fights tonight. We even had an awesome chick fight, which if you've ever watched my channel before, you know I'm not the biggest fan of female MMA, but Mackenzie Dern against Lemos. Oh my God. Dern is as bad of a striker as she is at being good at jiu-jitsu. You know, I mean, she's absolutely smoking hot, and she is elite at jiu-jitsu. But she is fucking terrible at striking. Oh my God. She can't get out of her own way. And Lemos was like following her right to the mat, tying up with her up against the cage and taking her down. Dude, why would you, you know, it's like grappling with a fucking anaconda. Like, don't do it. Just back away. But whatever. She got the win. It actually turned into a good fight because Mackenzie Dern, she has heart. She's got a big fat ass and a big heart. She's tough as nails. Andrew said, wow, Whitaker, that's insane. Nova, what is up, dog? Good to see you back in here. I feel like I was just punched in the face by Ilya. It hurts. It hurts. for me, it doesn't hurt as bad. I had a really big bet on Volk, so that sucks, you know. But I wasn't really a Volk fanboy. Obviously, I'm a Holloway fanboy, so when he took the strap from Holloway, it hurt me, and I vowed to never become a fanboy of any fighter again. So the only thing, I mean, I still made out on the night, bet-wise. I think I'm up like a half a unit or some shit like that. But I'm not a big, I just bet for fun, just like fun money, just whatever. I'm not like my boy Paku fucking making a living doing the shit. Sleuth said, I would say Yair was beating Volk on the feet, and Volk won by using the takedowns and brute strength to hold Yair down and ground and pound. Yeah, I mean, they were having some good exchanges, but Volk shots, when Volk did land, Yair was landing, it seemed, I'd have to go back and look at the numbers, but it seemed like Yair was landing more on the feet, and Volk shots had a little more, they were causing a little more damage, but he definitely won the fight by, putting it on the mat and dominating him there. But Volk was just showing what a good, well-rounded martial artist he is. He's like, you know what? Clearly this guy is super dangerous on the feet with his kicks. Let me mix it up and take him down and win there. Which, like it was just brought up a few minutes ago, maybe he should have did that here, But he was doing a good job fighting behind his jab, through the first round and into the second, I don't think he felt the need like, oh man, I better get this to the mat or I'm going out. But, hindsight's 20/20. Maybe that would have got it done for him, but easy to say now. And Andrew said, I did subscribe to you. Well, I really appreciate it, dude. Like I said, I can use each and every one of those subscribers I can get right now. Next fight is going to be Paku versus Ilya. I'll put his lights out for Volk. Hell yeah, bro. Sign me up. I'll get a first round seat. What did I just say? A first round seat? A front row seat? I think I meant front row seat. Little Nova. I was impressed by both Whitaker and Costa. I mean, we knew going into the fight they're both fucking savages. What else can you say? They really are. And Costa's great. He's got a great personality. He's a funny dude. You could tell if he was more fluent in English, he'd be a way bigger fan favorite. You could tell he's like a really funny guy. He just doesn't have his the language yet to support it, but he's still funny. And Whitaker's just so likable. He's just like a nice regular dude, plays video games, and then is a complete animal inside the octagon. I could watch Robert Whitaker and Paulo Costa fight every week. I could watch that every week. I mean, we only had, 11 fights tonight? 12 fights? Something like that. But it was, oh man, what a great night of fight. This is everything I wanted it to be. Except the Volkanovski win because I wanted to cash that ticket. But other than that, yeah, it would have been a great 5-round fight, for sure. Andrew said, I'm out. See you, bud. Later, broski. Oh, I thought that was somebody else. I thought that Andrew guy was somebody I know in real life, but it's not, which is even cooler for me. Steel C said, I agree. I stopped being fans of fighters because I'm such a fan of the sport. Frankie Edgar was the last person I was a fanboy of. And what a fucking guy to be a fan of. I had my two buddies over, I don't know, a few weeks ago for one of the cards, and my cousin is a hardcore fan like us, and my other buddy isn't, and we were trying to explain to him like the career of Frankie Edgar, and explaining explaining something like that to somebody who's not a real MMA fan is like, it doesn't do it justice. I was trying to explain to him what it was like watching the Gray Maynard fights and how back and forth it was and fucking insane. And Frankie Edgar was always too small. He was always like way smaller than everybody he fought, but he fucked everybody up and he was a savage. And my buddy's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. Like, I don't know. Unless you're a hardcore dork like us, they don't get it. You know, they don't get it. That's why I love this. Honestly, that's why I like wanted to start this YouTube and do it, because I think about MMA all day long. I absolutely love the sport, and it's not like where I am in Buffalo, New York, in the United States. It's not like football where everybody watches it and it's a super popular thing, you know. But I come onto YouTube here and I have a whole community of people who love the sport as much as I do. Frankie is my favorite. Age curse continues. Next up is Gaethje. Nate, yeah. I don't think it's a curse. I just think it is what it is. You know, Father Time is undefeated. Something happens. There's a few things that happen when you get older. For one, when you hit like 30 years old, you get a certain level of strength that you've never had before in your life. Like, old man strength is a thing. You just, without lifting or whatever, you just get like this extra strength that you don't have when you're 21. I'll train jiu-jitsu and judo and stuff like just for fun. Obviously, I'm a hobbyist with a full-time job, and these like big jack 23-year-old dudes will come in that are just absolutely ripped in the prime of their life, and I'm stronger than them, and I barely lift weights, and it's just because I'm like 30. I just have like old man strength that you develop. It's like one of those things. And another thing is, once you get on the other side of 35, something just happens. It's like timing, or at the level of MMA we're watching tonight, like we are watching the elite of the elite. You know, we are watching the 1% of the 1%. And when everyone is that good, it is the tiny little details that make the difference. That's why PEDs are such a big deal, you know, because it's like that one tiny added little edge, you know, that millisecond of a reaction that you get ahead of your opponent could be the difference between winning and losing, you know. Literally that fraction of a second where you see his shoulder come forward or whatever it is, so you start to move your head offline, and now the punch just grazes the side of your head as opposed to landing like square in the eye and, you know, busting your orbital. That's the difference in these fights. And there's something that you lose when you get on the other side of 35, especially in the lighter weight classes where speed is so important. You can see guys in heavyweight go longer, and I think it's because speed isn't such a factor. Obviously, if you have it, it's a huge benefit, but these guys aren't, you know, throwing as fast, so your reaction doesn't have to be as crisp as it does if you weigh 135 or 145 pounds, you know. Sleuth said, I was so surprised Pacu took Volk in this fight. I thought Pacu would back Ilya's boxing. But Ilya he wasn't a proven commodity coming into this fight. His best win was against the 39-year-old Josh Emmett. You know? I mean, yes, his boxing looked great, but he didn't put Emmett away. He certainly didn't do to Emmett what he did to Volk. You know? And he didn't fight Yair. So he was undefeated, but his resume wasn't that great. That's why I actually went back on my initial pick initially I picked Topuria. You know, I said that Volk is on the wrong side of 35. There's a huge question mark with him coming off that knockout loss. We don't know what's happening with that. And Topuria's boxing is just out of this world. Then I thought about it more, and I'm like, I'm giving him too much credit without enough evidence yet, you know? And I went back on my initial pick, and then I picked Volkanovski. But coming into this, Topuria, like I said, he wasn't a proven commodity. We knew he was good, but we didn't know if he was send Volkanovski to the shadow realm good, and he certainly is. Nate said, Volk looked off from the beginning. He looked hesitant to use the hands and looked slower. He did look a tad slower, but I think he was just hesitant because he knew that Topuria was, you know, walking around the cage with 2 atomic bombs attached to the end of his arms. You know, he knew that within the first 10 minutes, if he lands clean, that it could be lights out. And then I think as, you know, after the first round ended and then into the second, it looked like Volk was starting to get on his horse a little bit, starting to, you know, land first, really fight behind that jab, keep Ilya at the end of his punch, like right at the end of his punch, and Topuria was starting to wear it. You know, he was starting to show signs. I mean, obviously, shoulda, coulda, woulda, but I think if Volk could have got out of that round, started the third just like he started the second, and then maybe mixed in a takedown or two to give Ilya something to think about, we could be talking about and still right now. Paku said, I agree. I'm over getting attached to fighters. My last 2 are Charles O and Grasso. I'm done being this sad when fighters lose. Bro, I've been saying it since I started this channel, man. It's such an amazing sport. I have no choice, but, you know, I'll die a diehard Bills fan. And that's just like in my heart. I can't not love the Bills. So I am choosing not to love any fighter. I like fighters. I might root for a certain guy if I have money on him, or I like his personality, but it sucks when you're like, oh man, it hurt like that. That's how I felt with Max. That's how I felt with my boy Chuck Liddell back there when he got knocked out. Sleuth said, bro, I'm an Aussie. It would be a crime to pick against Volk. Brown said, cardio too, as we saw with Cejudo. He was so tired after the first round. Yeah, I agree. That's another thing you lose. Like, it's just these little things. Oh, man, that Cejudo fight. That's another fight. So, I watched one of MMA Guru's like fight prediction videos today when I was earlier, actually. I think I was like coming home from the gym or some shit. But he was talking about, where is it here? Roman Kopylov against Fluffy Hernandez, and he called it absolutely perfect. He's like, I want Kopylov to win. He's an underdog. I think he's going to have great moments. And he even said it like this. He's going to have moments where we're like, oh, yeah, oh, man, oh. You know, like, oh, he hit him with the big shot. Oh, he's going to follow it up. He goes, but in the end, I think that Fluffy Hernandez is just, he's going to land a takedown. He's going to get to his back, and he's going to choke him out. Like, Guru called it absolutely perfect. Then the very next fight was Henry Cejudo against Merab, and he was completely wrong. He's like, I think it's going to be a snooze fest where Merab just spans takedowns. The whole fight's going to happen up against the cage. We're all going to fall asleep, and it's going to suck. And it was the exact opposite. It was an absolute fucking great fight. I have my notes here of the exact breakdown. I'm going to make a video tomorrow going through all these fights, but there was some good shot. Yeah, the fight starts out and Henry Cejudo lands a big shot on Merab. And we're like, holy shit. Then Merab's throwing all these head kicks and spinning kicks. And then he just put that pace on him. He was beating him on the feet. Then Cejudo got a takedown, and then Merab just dominated. I mean, that dude, his pace is an absolute fucking weapon. His pace is like Ilia Toporia's right hand. It's just unstoppable. I'm really excited to see Merab against Sean O'Malley. That's going to be a good fight. Merab's got to be careful, though, because Sean is a super slick striker, super slick counter striker. He catches him with a knee or something coming in for a shot. Oh, man, it's going to be so hard for Merab to get inside on Sean. You know, he is so long for that division, and he's one of the few guys who really uses his length to his advantage. He knows exactly how to fight at the very end of his punches. And he's so good at countering. Like, that is going to be a good one. Early lean right now is Sean O'Malley, but I don't know. I'll have to think about it more. Paku said, I'm done throwing money at Volk. I don't blame you there. I don't think Volk ever holds the strap again. I also don't think Izzy ever holds the strap again. I don't think Whitaker ever becomes the champ. I think 2024 is the changing of the guard. It is. I would be more surprised if Whitaker, Volk, I'll even put Izzy in there. No, not Izzy. I'd be more surprised if Volkanovski or Robert Whitaker are a champ before Bo Nickel. That's my hot take of the night. That's how I am about Charles. I watch his entire career. I will ride with him till he's done. Were you a hardcore Charles fan when everyone was calling him a quitter? When he kind of was a quitter? He wasn't really a quitter, but he reached a point in fights where it seemed like he didn't have the belief in himself that he could win, so he just allowed himself to lose. And then whatever it was, he had his daughter, and then he just turns into this completely different fighter. I mean, Charles Oliveira, he's another guy. Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway. Enjoy their fights now, because I don't think in 2025 we're going to be... In 2025, we're not going to be talking about Izzy and Whitaker and Justin Gaethje and Max and all these guys like we have been for so long, Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier. It's... Grandpa used to say, the only thing you can count on in life is change and death, and that's a fact. These titles are going to change hands, and it's going to seem like... I literally remember saying, who is going to beat Volk? Like, who's going to do it? And like right now, it seems like who out there has what it takes to beat Topuria? But it's an absolute fact. He will lose. There's no doubt about it. It might not be for 4 years, or it might be his very next fight. But he will lose. It's just, these guys get so dominant. It's like, man, I can't ever see these guys losing. And then someone like Topuria is like, I have what it takes. I just need to get inside. But he also needed the help of... I don't know if Ilia Topuria does that against Volkanovski 3 years ago. You know what I mean? Nate said, I already have 4 bets on UFC 300. Can't wait for Hill versus Pereira. Odds to drop. What are your three bets? I like being a fan. Just gotta have realistic expectations. I mean, it's cool being a fan. Like I'm a fan of certain fighters. It's just I'm not like a, a mega fan of any fighters like I was with Max, where I wouldn't ever pick against them, to the point where I don't even think about if he's going to win. I just want him to win so bad, you know. It's like, please, please just let him win. I'm never going to be like that with any fighters anymore because they can only be good for so long. Like a sports team, the guys come and go, you know. If whoever you got in there isn't getting it done now, well, we're just going to draft some new kids and they're going to carry the flag. With the fighters, it's a human, you know. And we get old, we get slow, we lose our cardio, we lose our power, we lose the, you know, reaction time, and you don't ever get it back. I would cry if I met Charles. He has inspired me to get back up off my feet in life so many times. That's awesome, dude. That's cool that you look up to him like that. I actually never met like a huge fan of Charles Oliveira. So many people, I think, jumped on his bandwagon because that's another thing that's like so awesome about Oliveira is that he was a good fighter, but he was like just another. It's so rare that someone has a career in the UFC and they're just like a good fighter. You're like, yeah, that guy's good, but you know, when his back's against the wall, he doesn't really pull through, you know? And have like a whole, you know, persona. Like I said, he had a whole career. And then have a whole nother career where you just turn into this absolute marauder, this savage who just, the second he gets you on the ground, it's over. Like that Justin Gaethje fight. Everybody knew that Justin Gaethje had to land a big bomb and knock him out, or Charles Oliveira was going to somehow get to his back and strangle him unconscious. That's, you know, that's exactly what happened. The second Charles Oliveira got him on the mat, I don't even think he was on his back. I think he did it with an arm triangle, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. But the second Charles Oliveira got him on the mat, it was over. Even Justin Gaethje knew it. And it's just so weird for a guy to go from like not average, above average, good, to absolutely unstoppable in one aspect. I think Oliveira's I think he's a Hall of Fame fighter, in my opinion. Nate said, bro, I told everyone Roman wasn't ready for Fluffy. I mean, that was the general consensus. He was, you know, what? Like a plus 200 underdog at one point. You know, it was kind of the consensus that if Hernandez could get it to the mat, that he was going to strangle Kopylov unconscious. We were all just hoping that Kopylov was going to knock his ass out before he could do it and we could cash those underdog tickets. At least that's what I was hoping for anyway. I honestly think Cheeto could possibly beat Merab. At the highest level of this game, a lot of guys could beat a lot of guys. And I'm not saying that to be like condescending to your comment or anything like that. But I don't think Merab, even Ilia Topuria, I mean, right now, you know, he just put away one of our longest reigning kings. And he did it, you know, he sent him, you know, to the seventh layer of hell. So he looks unbeatable. But he absolutely could lose. I mean, Ilya Taporia could lose to Max Holloway. And I think Chito Vera could beat Sean O'Malley. I mean, he did. Yes, the 7-player of hair. He did beat him once, Chito's leg kicks are nasty. Yeah. Chito's another fighter who has like that X factor. His like heart and determination is like another X factor. You could tell that dude's seen some shit. He's been through some life experiences and he fights like it. Whereas Sean is pure talent. Sean is like speed, and just being a talented athlete, a talented striker. I'd be interested to see if Chito puts it on him and it turns into like a dog fight. What O'Malley, if he has it in him to, stick it out when his orbital's cracked and his nose is broken and he's got a broken bone in his right hand. Oh, did any of you guys see? It looked like I noticed that halfway through the third round between the Whitaker-Costa fight that Whitaker like stopped throwing his right hand. He was tripling up on his jabs, he would throw a jab and then a left hook. It seemed like he only threw his right hand like when it was instinctive, There's sometimes these guys are out there just throwing combinations and that hand just comes out. Personally, I think he broke his right hand. It looked like he was, he was favoring it. And the way he was throwing his lefts, I mean, it's good to, double, triple up your jab, but the way he was throwing like his straight left and then a hook after it, it almost looked like if he had a healthier right hand, he would be throwing it in that scenario. I could be completely wrong, and that could just be how he fights, but I think he hurt his hand in that fight. Nate said, I'd almost guarantee Volk and Rob never hold go together. Oh, I agree. I'll put Izzy in there too. I don't think Izzy, Volk, or Whitaker ever become champs again. Dave Vegas said Olives is awesome. He is, dude. I noticed that too. He threw stepping elbows with the rights though. It's so funny too. You can notice the karate in Robert Whitaker. Like he is so good at that blitzing style. Like it, I don't know what type of karate it is, but there's like some bullshito karate out there, and then there's like some, more legit stuff. Obviously, with any martial art, if you aren't sure if it's legit or not, just find out if they spar. If they really spar, then it's legit, like wrestling. All the ones we know are legit. Muay Thai, all that stuff. And there's point karate where they, blitz in and they're just trying to like throw body shots and stuff. Then you got like combat karate. Anyway, you can see that blitzing karate style in Robert Whitaker. He's super good at blitzing in without doing it like a fucking DDP who just blitzes in like with his head down, throwing punches like an idiot. He's super good at, just jumping all the way in, landing what he has to land, not getting hit, and getting all the way out. And the fucking leg kicks that him and Costa were trading were, oh man. I'd have been done. One of those leg kicks, I'd have been done right then and there, and I probably wouldn't be going to work all fucking week. Nate wants to know if anybody's picking Cody Garbrandt against Figueroa. I can't pick Cody just because I don't believe in his chin. I mean, it's too... Figgy hits super hard for a 125er. And I don't think Cody can stand up to it. I really like Cody. I mean, he's a fan favorite. I like watching him fight. I always have. But, no. I'm taking Figgy in that one. Are they doing that at 25 or 35? That's at 135, isn't it? Figgy moved up after his that last Brandon Moreno fight, right? He moved up to 35. What time do we got here? 56 minutes. All right, guys. I'm going to be checking out here in a few minutes. I just wanted to come on and say what's up and talk to you guys for a little bit. Like I said, I'll be doing a full card breakdown. It's already 2 a.m., so I'll be doing it tomorrow morning. I actually got to take my daughter to work at 7 a.m., but that's okay because then I get to come home and go back to bed for a little bit. Nate said, rewatch Figgy versus Font. Tell me in your honest opinion if Figgy is completely open in the pocket. All right, bro. You were cool enough to come in here and you're always supporting my channel and shit. I will do that for you. Nate Brown. Nate, before I leave, were you the guy who collects cards? If so, like I said, I have those I have some fucking UFC cards, and I'm not a card collector guy. So I was gonna give them to somebody in the chat here who supports me and is like into that stuff. I know, I forgot all about it too until tonight. If you didn't notice, I got myself a new setup. You can't see it, but I actually went and bought a new desk. My wife was like, "Oh, I was at the store and I saw a desk. It'd be perfect for your streaming." And it was literally at like 6 o'clock. I'm like, "All right, get in the fucking car right now. We gotta go." And I'm like, the whole big long story. In the store, I am watching the first fight on the cards tonight, the fucking Miranda Maverick fight, and I'm disassembling this desk so I could fit it in my car. I'm fucking taking it apart. I got my tool bag from work in the store, taking it apart with the fights on my phone playing like a fucking weirdo. All right, Nate. You know what? I'll talk to you on Discord or something, and I'll get your address and I'll send you those cards. Dave Vegas' press conference. All right, dudes. I'm out of here. I'm gonna go watch the press conference. I'm gonna go see what's up with UFC 300, and subscribe, and watch for my post-fight breakdown tomorrow. I'll be dropping it at some point. All right. I appreciate the support, guys. Go Bills.